Is Patrick Williams about to have a breakout year? In this video, we're going to try to figure that out by doing a deep dive on Patrick's film to see what his current strengths are and what things he can improve on going into this season. So for Williams, the first place where we have to start is his defense. Chicago in the regular season last year finished with a top 5 defensive rating, and Patrick for sure played a huge role for the Bulls on the defensive end. For pretty much every game, Williams was tasked with guarding the other team's primary scorer or creator. And while Patrick may not quite be in the elite class of NBA defenders, he still has the physical tools to make things really difficult for some of the NBA's top tier scorers. Williams is listed at 6'8" and with a 7-foot wingspan. And on top of that, he also has the foot speed to contain and wall off drives. So Patrick's combination of length and mobility allows him to both keep the ball in front and heavily disrupt the offense's shot. On this play, you'll see Patrick switch out and get himself matched up with Tatum. And from here, it's just him and Jason playing one-on-one. And notice how Williams is able to keep at least 1 foot above the 3-point line. And from this spot, he still has the ability to slide and stay in front of Tatum as he attacks. Then once Jason picks up his dribble, Patrick can just use his length to make this a really difficult shot. Now on this play, Williams is matched up with KD, and as the ball gets swung out to Durant, you'll see him catch and immediately attack downhill. But from here, watch how Patrick rotates his hips and gets himself back in front of the ball. And when Durant spins back over his right shoulder, Williams can still use that 7-foot reach to make this a really difficult shot. And that's a look that only KD can consistently hit. So while Patrick for sure is really good foot speed for his size, I think his length is what truly makes him special, because he can always use that as a get out of jail free card. Like here, you'll see his man turn the corner off the screen, and Williams can still use that reach to pursue from behind and poke the ball free. Now on this play, you'll see Patrick get hung up on the screen, which gives Banchero plenty of time and space to rise up for a 3. But watch how Patrick is able to extend all the way out and turn this into a tougher contested shot. Now the Bulls defense last year really emphasized shrinking the floor and playing heavy and gap, which is what the Heat did in last year's playoffs to great success. But one of the counters the offense has to this overhelping style of defense is to just simply toss skip passes over the top, which either leads to open threes or scrambles for the offense to attack. But when you have a guy like Patrick Williams defending off the ball, his size and length makes these skip passes way tougher. On this play, you'll see the Bucks run this Giannis and Holiday ball screen, and DeRozan off the ball has to shift down to help on this roll. But this leaves Grayson Allen open in the opposite corner. But when Drew tries to make this cross-court skip pass, Patrick is able to extend up and deflect it. And that freakish reach also makes Patrick a deadly gap defender, being able to time and get cookies off of loose ball handlers. On this play, you'll see Jaylen Brown rib towards his strong right hand. And watch how Williams here doesn't have to slide to close off this lane, instead having the ability to reach down and strip the ball free. Now Patrick's physical tools also makes him a pretty good defender around the basket. If he's early on his rotations, he's got the size to completely erase downhill drives. But this leads us to one of Williams' biggest areas of improvement defensively, which is going to be his strength. Patrick really has a hard time dealing with bigs or more physically imposing wings. When defending around the basket, Patrick primarily leans on his length, and he neglects completely putting his body in the play, which to a certain degree does limit him defensively. Take this play for example. You'll see the Bulls running back and defending in transition, and while the ball comes across to the left wing, notice how we have Patrick here defending on the weak side, and when the ball enters the paint, you'll see Williams extend up and make a play on the ball, instead of putting his body completely in front of the roller, which leads to Patrick falling out of position and committing a foul. But the good news for Bulls fans is that Patrick just turned 22, and I do see his body filling out more over the next few years. And if he could put on some more strength, while also collecting some more NBA experience, he could become one of the league's most dynamic and versatile wing defenders. So let's move on and look at Williams' offense. And the first place where we have to start is his outside shooting. Patrick last year shot a pretty impressive 42% on all his catch and shoot threes. And this for sure brings a ton of value to Chicago's offense. The Bulls last year averaged about 32 points a game just on 3-pointers alone, which was the 3rd worst across the NBA. So Patrick's ability to simply step up and knock down open catch and shoot threes is something that brings a ton of value to Chicago's offense.
Williams will try a three and knock it down.
And because the ball is primarily in DeRozan or Levine's hands, these shots naturally find him in the flow of the game. Now off the catch, I wouldn't say Patrick is a super dynamic shooter. He's not a guy who runs off screens or aggressively shifts to open spots on the floor, but he does have both a good feel of space and a quick release on the catch, and that does allow him to generate his fair share of open threes. On this play, you'll see DeMar working off the screen at the top of the key, and watch how Patrick here fills into this open space, and this gives him plenty of room off the catch to rise up for a 3. Now because Williams shoots over 40% from 3 while having a quick trigger off the catch, he does attract some pretty heavy closeouts, which then gives him the opportunity to play downhill. Now off the dribble, I wouldn't say Patrick has the craziest first step, but he is pretty good at attacking into the defense's gravity, and when he's playing around the basket, that 7-foot wingspan does allow him to stretch and find finishing angles. But this is where we begin to see some of Patrick's limitations as an offensive player. To start off, Williams is not a great finisher at the rim. Last year, he shot 57% around the basket, which is well below the league average. When we slow down and watch the film, I think one of Patrick's biggest issues is his footwork in the paint. Before Williams lifts up into his finishes, he's not very good at using his strides on the floor to set up angles, commonly leaving his feet and recklessly jumping towards the basket. And when I say strides, I mean things like Euro steps, pro hops, or different gathers on the floor. When Patrick's dealing with a shot blocker, he likes to jump early and try to create that finishing window in the air, which for sure can work in spots, but it's not very effective against lengthy defense. On this play, you'll see Patrick in the corner here, and he makes a nice initial move by running and attacking through the catch. Then from here, it's just him and Clint Capella playing one-on-one in the paint. And notice how Williams doesn't attack Clint's body or use his feet to set up any kind of angle. Instead, he tries to extend the ball up and over Capella, which leads to an easy block. So because Patrick's paint scoring to a certain degree is limited, he likes to instead stop and pop these short mid-range jumpers, which are shots that he can get off pretty effectively, because of course he always has that length in his back pocket, but his footwork into these shots is also pretty polished. On this play, you'll see him catch and rip towards the baseline, and he gets into an efficient 2-dribble pull-up towards his right hand. And I love how he quickly stops left-right and then uses his length to rise up and over Butler's contest. This is also a nice move here, where Patrick again attacks right off the catch, and with his second dribble, notice how he attacks the defense's body, and then he stops on 2 feet and fades back for the easy bank shot. One area of improvement I do see for Williams is him being more decisive with the ball. There's many times off the catch where he gets mixed up between shooting or driving. And while I do think Patrick's short pull-up jumpers are good looks for him in spots, there are times where he passes up catch and shoot threes, and elects to take these less efficient long contested pull-up twos. Last year, Patrick shot 43% on all his mid-range jumpers, which is less than 1 point per shot. And if you compare that to his numbers on catch and shoot threes, it becomes pretty obvious which shot is more efficient for Patrick. But when we watch the film, there's many times where Patrick passes up catch and shoot threes, and instead dribbles into these less efficient pull-up twos. On this play, you'll see Patrick catch in the slot, and notice how much space his man is giving him, while the closest defender is face guarding DeRozan, and has his back to the ball. From here, I think Patrick should take this open shot, but he instead takes 1 dribble below the 3 and settles for a difficult pull-up 2. You'll see a similar situation here, where Williams again catches with a ton of space, but he dribbles into another less efficient mid-range jumper. Now in order to justify taking mid-range jumpers in high volume, you have to be really accurate from that general area, but Williams' percentages right now don't justify him seeking out these difficult pull-up twos. And while he may have the potential to up his percentages in the next coming years, I still think he should be a guy that primarily seeks out spot-up threes and clean downhill drives. Now I do think Patrick does really well attacking the basket when he's playing in transition, and that's primarily because the defense can't get completely set, which causes the paint to be pretty open. When Williams is playing with a head of steam, he likes to use this simple overcross, which isn't a super flashy move, but it is enough to open up the defense and give himself an attacking angle. Now to sum things up, I think Patrick Williams already brings a ton of value to Chicago on both ends of the floor. I think defensively his length and mobility already gives some of the NBA's best offensive players some real problems. And offensively he does fill in the cracks for what the Bulls are missing, with his ability to knock down open threes and attack closeouts off the catch. I think if Patrick can just improve his overall strength on the defensive end while tightening up his reads and decision making on offense, he could quickly become a high caliber two-way player. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kid should break down next. The kid's here.